Hello everyone and welcome to Pipes, Tobacco, and Whiskey. So today we've got a video that I taped during the Muletown Pipe Show in Columbia, Tennessee. This is a pipe finishing video by Sam Adebayo. He is one of the carvers or one of the pipe makers at Briarworks there in Columbia. And he did a really nice seminar on how to take a pipe that has already been kind of shaped and ready to go, and how to get it finished, and some really good tips on how to make your pipes kind of spark up a little bit, make them look really nice. Now this video was a little longer than I expected, so I'm going to do part of it this week and then part of it next week. I really do hope you enjoy this. It was a really good video, good clinic that Sam did for us. Don't forget that coming up at the end of April, we have our tobacco tasters, and we are doing McBaron's Vanilla Cream. You can get that either in bulk or you can get it in a tin. That's your choice. I'll be tasting both and giving you my thoughts on both of those. So that's coming up pretty quickly here. So I hope you enjoy the video. As always, I hope you have a great week. Go out there, have some great smokes. Don't forget, make all your piping moments count. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the video. Bye-bye.
So, I'm Sam. I'm going to make a pipe, and hopefully it's cool. So yeah, I'll show you real quick. You guys can all stand here and I'll go around the back. So just briefly, we start out, these are where we have all of our stems, many different styles, different colors. This is where we select all of our stems. We store our stummels over here. This is after we've machined the briar. And once we get it to this point, we just go ahead and we sort them in different bins for smooth finishes, sandblasted finishes, and rusticated. And then once we get that done, pretty much it's just like, what pipe do we want to make? We grab a stem, we grab a stummel, put them together, and that's what I'll show you guys. So yeah, I think I'm going to do a double ants this time. So really, what we'll do is we'll just kind of select, we'll look at the grain pattern on it, just see if it's going to be able to achieve the finish that we want. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one out because this one looks like it's going to be a natural smooth, and that's kind of like the nicest finish, so let's try to go for that. So yeah, once I get it here, I'm going to head over here so everyone can come on over. So I start out the process by just going ahead and countersinking the mortise. We already have the ends of the shanks faced on our machine, so I don't need to face it. All I need to do is just add a little countersink, and that'll help the stem sit flush and all of that. So we just have a little tool that we use for that that's super convenient. And it's countersunk. So once I get it to that point, all I need to do is drill out the stem, and we also have a nice little tool bit that the taper stem that also countersinks it. So I just pop that on there and real quick drill it out. So now we're ready to start putting it together. So the process of sanding, I always begin with 120 grit. And really at the beginning, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the wood and the stem and the stummel perfectly flush. There's a little step down at this point because they're not quite set up for each other yet, so I'm going to make that happen. Start up the motor. And this is a pretty simple part. All I'm doing is the shank, so need to straighten that out. And then I usually like to use the face of the wheel in this part of the process, just to get a nice flat line. And all I'm really doing is I'm just removing the material that doesn't need to be there. So yeah, at this point, what I'll do is I'm just trying to visually get it nice and flat, but then at the same time, besides using my eyes, I usually use my thumb quite a bit, where I'm just always running it up and down that shank to feel for little bumps, because there's so much of it that you can do without even, your eyes really are helpful, but like, once you train your hands to feel it, you can kind of do it without even having to look too intensely at it. So really, I always start out with the hard wheel because it just helps me get nice crisp lines. And then once I do that, I switch over to another 120 grit. But this one is a softer wheel, so it helps me to get facets and such out. So that's this one right here.
Does that kind of remind you what not to do?
This guy, yeah. Yeah, he reminds me for sure.
I think that one has a pit in it.
A little one.
I'm not a pipe maker, but
it's at least a little one. So at this point in the process, I'm going to go ahead and I'm touching up the shank. But then once I get the shank touched up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sand the remainder of the pipe. So I'm going to be taking out any tool marks. So yeah, the tricky part on this is just really trying to sand out all of the marks without putting too many facets on there, without removing too much material. But other than that, I'm just really running sandpaper over the surface. And also, if anybody has any questions or want to see anything closer, just let me know, and I'm happy to answer anything.
At what point do you decide what the grade is?
At what point do I decide what the grade is going to be? Well, we don't really grade our pipes.
Well, I mean, as far as, you know, the finish, the drawing, the light, the natural.
We'll do that right after it comes off of the machines and it's been shaped, because we're usually able to tell.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're wrong, but.
Yeah.
In general, that's going to occur really early in the process.
That's what I think. And this is what you're using. You're going for a smooth finish?
Yep. Yeah, so I start out with 120, and if I'm going to do a sandblast finish, I go to 120, and then I do higher on the areas that are going to be smooth, like the stem and parts of the shank. Like
this came out of the bin over there that you intend to be smooth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I anticipate I won't have to apply any stain to this one at all.
That's, yes. Okay. last show you did a bent bulldog, and that's the way you turned it out.
Yep, and that's why I went for it this time too, because I liked that.
Somebody bought it right up real quick too.
Yep, that is true. Alright, so now, all I'm really doing now is I'm just checking for spots that might have a little bit deeper dings or something that I want to get out before I skip up to the 320 grit. So now I'm ready to go up to 320.
Now who does the pre-grading with the side?
At this point, a lot of, like we all kind of do the grading because we're all pretty familiar with
that one will work for this or that or whatever.
Yeah. Alright, now really all I'm doing is I'm removing the scratches from the previous grid. So yeah, usually the hardest spot on most pipes to really get it sanded well is this spot right here, which is the junction between the shank and the bowl. It's kind of hard to get that wheel in there if you're not doing hand sanding to get it just right and not put any facets on it. So that's, you kind of have to be a little extra careful in that area. But once you do it a lot of times, it's very achievable.
So is that a variable wheel, a variable speed wheel?
It is. So it's yeah, just so we have a VFD that we're running the wheel through so I can turn the speed up and down.
Where do you have it running right about now?
Right now it's roughly 800 RPM.
The things are up and running in full swing. Does each maker take one from beginning to end, or do you pass it off?
We've had different ways that we've done it in the past, but currently one of us will grab one from start to finish and do the whole thing. And then my wife will bowl coat everything that I do.
That's what wives are for, right?
What was that?
That's what wives are for, right?
Amongst other things,
I
yeah.
think that's in the Bible.
And the other thing that I do quite a bit, which you might notice, is I'm always doing that also to wipe dust off, besides just feeling it.
What grit did you say you were working with right now?
Right now it's 320. It honestly depends on the finish of the pipe. On most smooth pipes, I'll just go to 400 grit and then apply stain and then buff back with triple E. That's it. All right. So, at this point, I've gotten most all of the scratches out. You can still see little 320 grit scratches on the stem. I'll go ahead and kind of quick pass it around so people can actually see what's going on. And that's sort of at the point where I'm just going to hit it with one more grit of sandpaper, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buff it. I'm going to turn the dust collector off as well.
I'll go with you. It's nice.
Beautiful burls in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just as is, you know.
Mm-hmm.